Good afternoon and welcome to Mastering Slide Masters in PowerPoint. My name is Kirsty McGrath and I'm the Productivity Specialist at DDLS. We will be going for 15 minutes starting now, and at the end of the session we'll leave another few minutes to be able to answer any questions and show you anything that you need. If you have any questions, do feel free to put them into the moderated chat over on the right hand side in your attendee view. Maximize your screen if you need to. As we start in our presentation, you can click and drag on the edges, or you click your maximize button in the top right hand corner so you can have it full screen. Our topics today, we're going to go through our slide masters. You know, it's true that you can actually create PowerPoint presentations without using slide masters or even knowing what they actually are. But we do save ourselves an awful lot of time and effort if we actually know a little about slide masters, and I think you will be glad to know about them as well. So it's a built-in tool that provides some control and a little bit of consistency around the look of your PowerPoint presentations. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you a little bit about, what are those slide masters, assigning a master on terms of a page and how we actually work, why sometimes copy and paste is not the best way to be able to work with it, editing those masters and creating your own. They're just short, sharp sessions. I'm going to go now into a screen share. If at any point your screen does black out, then do please do a refresh of your screen and it should hopefully come up for you. It'll begin to screen momentarily in terms of my demo. Okay, so PowerPoint. Let's go and have a look. A lot of questions that I get in PowerPoint, and people that are having issues with PowerPoint, really a lot of them do boil down to the slide master. It's a quite common problem and issue. Well, what is a slide master? A slide master it's a little bit like the skeleton of your presentation. It's that template that you work on to start a PowerPoint or continue working on a PowerPoint. So what I've got here is the moment I do a new presentation, I've just gone Control-N for new, I get given the boxes for me to be able to work in. This all comes and derives from the master. So where they're sitting on the page, the look and feel, you've also got a whole heap of slide designs that come with your master. So you'll be able to see that on your Home tab when I click on the little pull-down arrow of New Slide, or if I wish to change the layout. So these are some of the defaults that's actually coming directly from my slide master. Now, I could have different slide designs, slide master, if I go to my design tab and I actually chose a completely separate design, then what's going to happen is the boxes all start to move. My slide template that I have here starts to adjust with lots of different views for me to be able to work with. So why is that important? The look and feel and the way that we actually work with a particular slide can make a big difference. And I see this an awful lot. And I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'm doing something quick in the past, and every now and again I might go in and I'll go, I don't like that box. I actually want a little smaller up in the top right-hand corner. This is how I want my cover page to start looking. I'll make a few adjustments. I want that to be left aligned. Go put it in the middle. That's a little too big. I don't want it at 60. I'm going to take it down, go to left. We do a bit of adjustments. Maybe we go and drop in a picture. So I'll go grab something like a green design, and I'm going to go drop that on the page and put it into the background. So these are all things that we'll often do. For example, I'll just make a few adjustments, and because of this background I can just resize it fairly easily. I want that to fit in the back, so I'm going to send that backward. Now, God. Okay, so my writing's black. That's not going to work on a dark background, so I'll probably want to turn that white, for example. Okay, so I've got my look and feel, and now I'm going to do my next page. So, but hang on, I actually want it to look similar to the other one. I kind of want the same background and different boxes, and okay, and now I decide I don't like that background, I'm going to try and choose one of the other designs that are up there, but that's not working. Okay, so let me delete the background, start choosing another, hang on, my boxes are now up the top, that's not going to work. And I see this all the time. I go, oh, now I've made adjustments and it's not working, and I'm copying things in, and now it's moved and it's not structurally the same anymore. Okay, so I'll go undo, and I'm undoing. And this is what we do. We do this all the time. I see it all the time. I'm going back to my design. I'm going to go back to my title slide, and it's just dropped everything. No, that's not what I wanted. Okay. So where does all this come from? If you start adjusting and playing around, you make a messier designs, you make a messier templates. It's much easier if you want to make adjustments to the look and feel. Go to your View tab, and you want to go into your Slide Master, because your Slide Master is what actually defines the look and feel. Now, within this, what do you see? You have all different types of slide designs, even some of the, between the vertical and horizontal. Can't say I've ever overly used these sorts of designs down the bottom, but you do have your one main master up the top. Now, that main master gives you the design for the rest of your templates. So it kind of sets the pattern, and it does flow through. So if I wanted to make an adjustment to that particular master, it is here that I'd want to do it. If I didn't want my writing so big, I would actually take it down here or up here. If I wanted it to be centered. Now, that will flow through my whole presentation. You'll see it's now adjusted here as well. If I wanted my writing to all be a little bit larger, I can take them all up 1 or 2 levels. Here's my main heading page. If I wanted to make the adjustment, it is here that I'm much better off making all these adjustments to flow through. What we can do is, if we make these edits here, it becomes so much easier, because that style, it will mean that no matter how many times I do my next slide or my next slide, it'll give me that replicated design again and again, so I don't have to think about the look and feel. And I see this a lot where it's things like, so say you've got a logo, and you want the logo to be on every page, and you want it to be in exactly the same spot. Now, if I was back in my main presentation and I started to copy that on every single slide, and say it was a 1 megabyte logo, I mean, yeah, that's pretty big, but I do see it, and you've copied it to every slide, and you've got 120 slides. You've then got a logo that's replicated on every page at 1 megabyte each, and you've got 120, then you've got 120 megabyte presentation in a blink. And it happens all the time. So you're better off to come in here and go, I want to put a logo in. So if I go grab a logo that I want to put onto my design, so I'm going to go grab logo, and I want it to be sitting down in, say, my bottom right corner, and I'm going to adjust my footer details down the bottom. So now what will happen is every single page has that design. It's 1 megabyte for my 120 pages. More often than not, I don't recommend having your logo on every single page. It's not necessarily needed. It takes up a lot of real estate. I know it comes as a part of our logo designs. But really, just have it on your cover page and your final page, and give yourself the real estate to be able to work with for the rest of them. So then you just choose particular pages to put them on. So once you've got your design, one of the things I also see about masters is sometimes the boxes aren't lining up from page to page. Turn on things like your grids, so that you can actually view what's happening, or your guides on the page. So let me turn off my guides. I've got my grid. I'm just going to hold down my Control key, and I'm going to replicate it. So I'm grabbing my guides, and I'll know exactly where my boxes start and finish. If it's not quite lining up, I'm going to hold down my Alt key, and that releases it from the grids as I'm dragging it. So now I can start to see exactly where my boxes should line up from my page to page if I'm turning on my guides for each individual one. So I turn on the guides, make sure it's structurally going through so I can see the look and feel for each page. Okay. So from there, I've got my design. What if I've got a particular look and feel for a presentation that I want to have as a standard. So things like smart art, or you've got a chart page. You can actually create a page with a design on it for others to be able to use. For example, I'm going to go in, and what I'm going to do is a part of my slide master, I'm going to create my own page. I'll just go down towards the very end here, and I'm going to insert a layout. So here we go, I've got my design, and then up the top I've got placeholders that I can actually work with. So those placeholders mean that it makes it that little bit easier for me to be able to work with my designs. So I go, okay, I want them to be able to do some smart art. I want it to be a particular look and feel. I would turn on things like my guide so I knew exactly how big and where I wanted that to end and finish. We'll just drop one in, for example. And for my smart art, what I would like the business to do is, I want them to have a very specific graphic in there. Okay? So it could be, for example, I'm going to insert some smart art, and that smart art is generally, maybe it's a process, or it's a chart, or a type of list that we use again and again. So I'm going to choose the list that I want to have, okay? Or going through the design, so it could be a full page, it could be a component, depends on what you want to have there, if you want to redesign it or have it a particular structure, for example. So I could go, I want it to be that colour, and let me get rid of box at the back. Could be that way, or it could be this way. So that's the design that I want to be there. I've closed now my smart master, and I've got a custom layout here for me to be able to use in future. Now it says custom layout because I didn't actually give it a name. But if I go back to my slide master, I can very easily give that a name, so I know exactly what it is that I want to do. I'm just doing a right click, or up the top on the slide master menu, you do have a rename button up the top. So I'm just going to go right click, I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to call it my smart art. I'll say that very carefully. Okay, so rename. So here I am. I can now use that particular layout, and I can drop in what I want to use for my smart art. Okay. So it depends on the design. You can structurally set it up in a particular way that you want to have. Okay. Now, with my design, sometimes we have a presentation and it's already using a design. Okay. And we then start and copy and paste in other presentations. So it's often we'll see masters that have come from various places, and they're pasting in, and it's a particular, I suppose, look and feel, and it's all based on your organisational design, but each one is just slightly different in terms of the master, and you end up with a whole heap of masters in the back. Okay, so we've got one master, now we've got a second master happening. And sometimes we're not quite sure which master you're using. If you just hover over in your slide master, just hover over them, it'll tell you. It says it's being used by 1 to 3 and 5 to 11. It's used by 1 and 11, 2, 6 and 8. If you just hover over, it'll tell you. So if you want to swap them out or you want to delete a master, I've actually gone into the back end. It's often one of the first things I do when I get given a PowerPoint. I'll go straight into the slide master because I've got say a template, and before I've even started, it's 8 megabytes, and it's a blank presentation, and I go, well, I question, well, why is that the case? I go straight to my master, and it could be that in the back end, there's 20 master templates here, and sometimes they're valuable, sometimes not so valuable. So we've got my title, my content, it's using pages 2, 6, and 8, and I might wish to use a different design instead. And I can start to swap them out, or I can delete a whole master. So for the design that I've got here, let's go see what happens if I go delete this particular master design. It says it's being used. I'm going to close now. I've dropped off that master, and you'll see that what's happened is it's automatically defaulted that design now to my master template. It can be a quick way to get rid of old ones, or you can reassign them to start with and then go delete it once you know which ones you've got to swap out. So that gives you an idea of working with your slide masters and how to get yourself started. You know, structurally there's a lot of really great designs. You can create your own themes and templates and then go save that particular design as a theme for you to use again and again. So get those masters going to work with, and it can certainly make your life an awful lot easier. If you have any questions, do feel free to put them into the chat pane for me. Now next week, we're going to be covering off how to connect your contacts on Link. You need to learn how to tag, that searching and organizing your contacts on Link, and finding out where they are and whether they're actually available for you to be able to chat. Okay? I will let us go, and we'll join again next week for our 15-minute session on Link contacts. Thank you very much all, and goodbye.